Ayan! Hello! We are live! Welcome back to my channel and welcome to the first ever live show of In Cosmic Dreams for 2021. Happy New Year everybody kung hindi ko pa kayo nababate. Andito na sila Trish. Hi Trish! O di ba may mga paganti yung StreamYard? Ngayon ko lang ito nakita. So cute! Erica is also here. Hi Erica. And si Lian. Hello! So,
Hello.
sige. Paano ko hide? Ayun! Hindi na marunong mag-stream yun.
Go, Kat.
Hindi na marunong mag-stream yun. So, hello everybody. So, tonight we are going to talk about actually this is the December pick. Kaso, naurong yung live show. So, naging January 16 na. But yeah, this is the December pick, which is We Dream of Space by Erin Entrada Kelly. And we are going to talk about this book, of course. Ano ba mag-usapan namin? So, nasabaw. Wait lang, dito si Gerald. Taray, parang call center. Salamat.
Parehas kasi tayong naka-headset.
Oo, si Donna na lang talaga wala. Hello, welcome. Oo nga, upgraded daw ang StreamYard. Di pa kasi ulit kami nakakapag-StreamYard kami tatlo. But anyway, so, this is the last book for 2020 supposed to be. And I am going to co-host the night with my good friends from Bookstagram. So, ito ang kanilang debut on YouTube Live. And we are with Sai from The Engineer is Reading and Donna from Serena Reader. So, yeah, Sai, go ahead, introduce yourself and plug your social media as early as now. Go,
Hello. So, yun nga. As mentioned by Kat, this is my YouTube debut. But if you know me, I'm on Instagram for years now. My username is The Engineer's Reading. And then on Twitter, I have a different handle that is Life of Sai. So, that's it. I read books, especially if it's written by Asian authors, and just like this one, this is written by this is a Filipino authored book. That's why I'm glad that Donna and Kat will be here to discuss this book tonight. That's all. Kat, sorry, kinabahan.
It's okay. Ano lang tayo dito, chill. Ayan, magandang gabi daw mula sa ating kaibigan na si Emmanuel.
Hi, Eman.
Hi, Emma. Thank you for being here. Ano yung Go Kasado? Ginawa ng group name. Kagagawa ka talaga, moms. Okay, go, Donna.
Hello, everyone. So, my name's Donna. My Bookstagram handle is Serena Reader, and I've been part of the book community for about 2 years, maybe, I think. And I mostly read diverse books, queer books. And yeah, so I actually got this book from Sai for our Christmas party. So we had a Christmas party, and basically, nagpa-games kami. Tapos si Sai, sabi, mag-sponsor ako ng prize. And then yung prize is We Dream of Space nga. Kasi book of the month in Cosmic Dreams. So, thank you, Sai. So, yeah, I got to read along with Kat and Sai for this book. So, I'm here. Hi.
So, Donna, si Donna po, ang infamous namin na kabudol. Lagi ko nabanggit si
Let's
Donna
go.
sa mga videos ko. And also Sai, of course. Hindi pwedeng si Donna lang at ako mabubudol. Pati si Sai kasama dyan. So, yeah, sana daw masarap ang ulam natin. Actually, hindi pa ako makain. Pero thank you,
Same.
Erica. So, again, we're going to discuss this book in maybe an hour. Siguro yun yung pinakamatagal. But with Dream of Space, katulad ng sinabi ni Sai, this is by a Filipino diaspora author, Erin Entrada Kelly. And I think lagi ko namang nasasabi sa mga videos ko that she's my favorite middle grade author. And now we get to read the latest or the most recent work of her. So this is actually a historical fiction. It is set during the 80s?
86, yes.
Yeah, okay, 1986. It is during the yung maglo-launch yung Challenger shuttle like to explore in the space. So there is like a real shuttle talaga na nangyari during 1986 from the US. And we're going to follow the three children or three siblings na Nelson Thomas yung kanilang last name. We have Cash, Fitch, and si Bird. So um, this actually is their story, their family story, and it has their POV. So multiple POVs though with the three siblings, and they have very distinct characters. So I think we're going to start with the characters, the POVs. Like, how do you find the characters of each of the siblings? Like, as in very different talaga silang tatlo. Like, ang pinakamatanda pala si Cash, but kasi siya ay parang um, ang tawag doon, repeater ng grade 7. So,
Yes.
naging kasabay niya yung level nung mga kapatid niya. And yung mga kapatid niya ay
Twins.
si Fitch at saka si Bird ay mga twin, ay mga ay twin sila. So, at grade 7 silang tatlo in the book, but the older one is si Cash. So, how do you find Cash, Fitch, and Bird? Like their perspectives in the whole book. Sige, siguro sinong gustong mag-start? Gusto niyo ba? Dito tayo ngayon magbato-bato. Kanina pa namin iniisip paano kami maunod pa, ano to, maibataya. Ganyan. Bato na joke lang. Sinong gusto mag-start? Like, how do you find like their characters or their arcs? Siguro you can explain what's your opinion about the development or the arcs that they had throughout the book? So, sorry before we start pala guys, this is not really that spoilery of a book discussion, but if you're interested to read this book per se, siguro we will just tell you if it's a major spoilery in the plot. Sasabihin na lang namin sa inyo. Pero basically sa middle grade naman, it's not really that spoilery, especially in this one. I think yung ending lang yung spoilery dito. But yeah, go ahead. Sinong gustong mauna? Yeah.
Sige, ako na lang, Kat.
Sige,
Ako na lang.
okay.
Para last maalin sa inyo ni Donna yung last. Sige. Sa akin kasi, wala talagang idea when I started this book, aside from the fact that it is rooted from a real life event that is the Challenger space exploration in 1980s. And it it features a sibling story. That's why medyo na foreseen ko na rin na there will be multiple POVs. Pero if we'll be dissecting each characters, the Nelson Thomas siblings, may big difference kasi 'di ba sabi mo nga kanina si Cash as the eldest of their family, naging repeater siya, which is one of the main characteristic na nag-set aside kay Cash from the twins is that he is kind of anxious on the academic aspects of his life. And syempre as the eldest, 'di ba, parang gusto maging panganay, but may mga bagay na naghihinder sa kanya para gawin 'yon, which is sana ma-discuss natin. And then si Bird naman, I think is well developed in terms of her admiration with the space exploration. Parang siya yung pinaka-center when it comes to the topic of the Challenger space shuttle. And then we have Fitch, which is my favorite character na hindi ko kaya admit kasi ewan ko lang, I have this thing with characters na parang I want to hug them, especially when they shows their vulnerability to certain people within the book. And Fitch has that arc or development within. That's why mamaya sana ma-discuss natin kung ano yung nangyari kay Fitch. So I think well developed yung differences ng Nelson Thomas siblings, and it shows in the POVs and narration throughout the story.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, that's good. Actually, I was surprised that hindi mo sinabi na si Fitch yung favorite character. I mean, favorite Nelson Thomas childhood doon or sibling. But yeah, that was surprising. Mamaya
Surprise!
May pag-usapan natin more deeply about their characters. But how about you, Donna? What are your thoughts about the distinct characters in the Nelson Thomas siblings?
Yeah, so like what Sai said, we follow three POVs. So, may sariling narration si Cash on his perspective. And then the same with um, Bird and Fitch. For me, like what Sai said also, the most developed is definitely Bird. Parang siya yung front runner na nagtatel ng story because
Mhm.
she was the one who was most interested about the space launch, and which is the parang pinaka premise ng book. And
Mhm.
then we have Fitch and Cash. Si Cash nga meron siyang difficulties with school, like he doesn't think of it, like he doesn't think the value of being in school. Mas pina-priority niya yung sports, which like he likes basketball, but he's not good in basketball. But he wants to be good in basketball. So parang yun yung pinaka main dilemma niya. And then si Fitch naman, I don't know, like for me actually when I was reading the book, si Fitch yung medyo in between, parang he was the character in between na parang what do I really want versus what I can be, parang ganon yung dating niya sa akin. And then the way his character progressed, it wasn't like the best for me. But he was definitely one of the characters that had good potential, like in my opinion. If the arc was well made. That's it. I thank you,
Wow.
Bao.
But who's your favorite character? Like sibling pala, I mean. Among
Favorite
the three.
sibling. I would say um actually I would say Cash, but I wish nga parang his parts kasi in the book weren't really well doled out. So I hope there was more. Pero he was one of he was one of my favorites talaga. Parang next to Bird, kasi obvious naman na Bird is gonna be your favorite
Auto
because
favorite,
she
di ba?
it was her perspective that you were getting most of the time.
Mhm.
Um pero parang for me, personally, I like Cash's struggles and his story.
Yeah. Well, that was surprising really. Kasi ngayon ko na-realize na magkakaiba yung sagot natin. O, di ba? Merong tigi-isa bawat yung sibling. So, actually, nasabi na ni Sayo at saka ni Donna, like, the character, like, the center of each character, why they are so distinct. Siguro, ang i-add ko na lang doon is, like, tulad nga niya sinabi ni Donna, Cash really is not focused on studying or in academics. That's why nag-repeat siya ng grade 7. Um, but then I think Cash character, um, siya yung tipo ng bata that he's like going with what is trending on his age. Parang kung, okay, mahilig sila sa basketball yung mga barkada ko, so mag-basketball din ako. Without really knowing if he will excel or he's really good in basketball. So parang, he's like the type of, kasi I am a teacher in grade 7 for like 5 years. So parang nakikita ko yung mga estudyante ko sa kanya na parang gusto nila kung ano ginagawa ng kaibigan nila, yun din yung gagawin nila. So parang ganun si Cash in my perspective. And then si Fitch naman, ang i-add ko lang is that um Fitch knows what he likes, but then he's having problems with how he controls his emotions. Like he has anger management throughout the book. So I think that's one of the most important character. Kaya Fitch yung nickname niya because he likes to throw fit. Diba? Nabanggit din sa book. So parang that's one of the things that I wish was resolved in the end. So ayun, medyo spoiler na yung sinabi ko na yun. But it was something that I hope that was resolved by the story because somehow sana nabigyan ng hope yung problema ni Fitch because there's a problem eh. There's a problem
Yeah.
with his emotions. And then of course, my favorite talaga is Bird. And katulad na sinabi nila, like Bird is, when you've read the book, Bird is like an auto favorite. Parang there's no way that you're not gonna like that character. Like there's literally no way. And Bird is like the one, parang siya yung tipo ng anak na laging siya yung nasa gitna. siya yung naiipit palagi. Like, siya yung lagi yung may care. Kasi kapag parang naisip ko lang na, sa family nga naman, kung sino yung lagi yung may pakialam sa parents or sa siblings niya, siya yung lagi yung nasa gitna na parang siya yung mediator, siya yung balance, siya yung... So Bird is like, tulad ng sinabi ni Donna, siya yung medyo mas madami yung perspective in the book because I think it was really intentional. Aside from she's the only girl in among the siblings, I think feeling ko lang yung pagkakaano sa akin is like kahit twins si Fitch at saka si Bird, feeling ko si Bird yung parang bunso sa
Remember this?
uh okay, yung may schematics, what is
Yun din,
that?
yun din raw ni
Oh
Bird.
yeah, okay, yun nasa
The
gitna
gear in
siya.
the middle.
Yeah. Actually, that is very like well represented how like their roles in their family, like
Yeah. Yung dynamics ng family
yeah,
nila.
their dynamics that best represents the illustration. And that's one thing that I really love about the book is the illustrations in there.
Yeah.
Na parang it was really connected with the scientific references, the schematics, and it will show here. So later we will talk about that. But yun, so basically my favorite character is Bert, and I agree that the other two characters have so much potential, but personally I think that they were not really fleshed out beautifully. Like the character arc could have been so much better at the end. And to think na hindi naman siya short book, baka medyo mahaba tong book na to for a middle grade in my opinion lang naman ano. Pero I think with so much story that happened in here, marami pa sana pwedeng nangyari. So yun. So those are the introduction for the three characters of the three Nelson Thomas siblings. Now, let's move on to the parents. What are your opinions about the parents of the book? Like how they were portrayed and how do you think they were developed in the story? Developed or not developed in the story? Um, so yeah, just basic opinions or thoughts about them before we move on to other things. Kasi alangan namang, syempre the parents are like parang one of the most important elements in this book kung bakit ganyan yung nangyari sa magkakapatid. But let's just very quickly lang, what are your thoughts about how the parents were portrayed in the book? Like, do you think it's essential?
Sa
Essential.
akin,
Go.
sa akin, like reading middle grade, ako ang napapansin ko lagi is either the familiar relationship is really good, or like in this case it's not very good. So like the parents in this in the family, they're not they're parang they have a world of their own. Parang they're always fighting. Parang every time they come into one room, lagi silang mag-aaway. Which is, it happens. I mean, like there are times that, like when I was younger, there were times too. But like it parang there was kasi a part, I distinctly remember there was a part wherein like I forgot which sibling said it, but one of the siblings said there was a time that it was better. Pero parang we were never shown what better is actually. Diba? Kasi parang better can be just a little bit less fighting, but it still has that clash. Pero along the way naman, remember there was a scene na the father was talking to Cash. Tapos parang kinikwento niya how, was it Cash or Fitch? Basta he was talking to one of the boys, and then he was telling them about how the dad perceived the mom the first time.
Oh,
Tas
that
how
was Cash. Oh, si
Cash,
Cash.
during the
remember,
basketball.
Yeah.
yeah. I distinctly remember that. So parang that was a nice point of view, pero parang it was such a small, like a slight moment na parang yun lang yung better noon. Parang I need more, parang you have to tell me more, kasi parang hindi, parang the way that the parents were portrayed, hindi believable na there was better before what they were having now kasi parang it was constant. Yun lang yung sa akin, na parang, though I like naman like how the mother was taking a stand against women's rights during that time against the father, ganyan. I think it was very relevant, pero parang the way that it was just shown didn't like it didn't sit very well with me.
Yeah, I think we could agree on that. But let's see. Sai, thank you, Donna. How about you, Sai? Like, what's your basic thoughts, general thoughts?
Yun, I second the motion, Kat. Kasi sabi ko nga, when I started the book, parang super saddening reading the premises, especially when it involves the parents, the Nelson sibling parents. Kasi makikita mo sa development ng mga siblings how na the way they sees the outside world is basically reflective on how they were treated inside the house. Like Cash has a different way of handling his academics, his struggles in academics, and then Fitch, as you mentioned, Kat has an anger management issues, and then also Bird, when we had that thing at the end, she also managed to throw a fit, which is sort of nag-reflect talaga siya on how they were raised by their parents. Pero aside from that, yun nga, gusto ko yung part ni Mrs. Nelson Thomas na she's always taking a stand against her very verbally abusive husband. So yun, that is for me. It's a big part of the book. Pero it's not there were no backstories about why they come to that specific scenario.
Yeah.
So it's still underdeveloped. Pero
Yeah,
yun nga.
And to
I
add
think
to
I would.
what Sai said, I feel like the reason why the kids, well, specifically si Bird, the way she was so attached to her teacher was because parang nawala yung pagiging parental figures ng actual parents nila.
Yes.
'Di ba? Pero yun nga parang so how did you get to that point, right? Parang yun yung parang yung pinaka missing key for me sa story na to is the like complete backstory, or at least like a good glimpse of the backstory of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I agree. I think I would just have to agree on everything that you both said because I feel like it was, sabi ko nga kay Donna at first, like, I know that it is realistic, like, the dynamics of the parents are very realistic for me. Like, there are children, there are kids who really grew up in an environment na puro nag-aaway yung parents nila, or, like, their parents are not divorced, but it is, like, parang daily na lang na ganun yung nangyayari. And I think that's the representation that was set in the book. Siguro kung meron man akong gusto sanang magbago with how the parents were portrayed is either yung sinabi ni Donna that there should have been a portrayal of like, ano ba dati? Ano ba yung meron dati? Like, how, parang, ano ba yun? Gumising na lang sila one day or pinanganak na ba yung mga bata na ganun na yung setup nila because that would be like really, really sad for me. Or kung wala man yun, at least like in the end or in the conclusion, like something happened man lang with the parent and the children dynamics. Because for me, it was really lacking. That's the most saddening part for me in the book is that realizing that it ended without really, alam mo yun, parang hindi ko nakitaan ng hope na magiging okay yung parents ko with like this
Hindi
basic,
na-address.
yeah, hindi na-address. And this is a middle grade book. So parang tulad nga ng sinasabi sa amin ni Donna with when we were talking about this book is what if this is a middle grade is reading like reading it, yung totoong middle grade talaga, not adults like us. There should, parang hindi siya masyadong hopeful in the end. Alam niyo yun? Parang ganun yung nangyari. So, yeah. So basically, kung you're recommending this book to a middle grade, kung meron kayong anak, mga again being sent a middle grade, I think you just have to set the expectations that this is a fictional work because this could somehow trigger some middle grades. For me lang naman, that's my point of view about that. But before we move on, ayan, ang dami kasing comments kanina, medyo nasa kalagitnaan kami ng character conversation. But we have here Elena. Hi! Di ko alam kung nandyan pa si Mars. Syempre si Emmanuel, nandyan yan. Bookdog. Oh, andito pala si Deej. Nakaabot daw siya. Yan,
Wow,
nandiyan si Deej.
hello.
Hello, hello. Oo nga, no. Nandito sila. Syempre, nandyan din si... Okay, nandito si Ram. Hi, Ram. How are ya?
Hi, Ram.
Hello.
Sabi ni, sabi ni Trish, don't be shy. Make it 2 hours. Grabe ka
Ma'am,
ng
The puppy war.
mataas ng lawa ko, ma'am.
3 hosts lang yata yung nagka 2 hours. Nakakatawa. Wala namang, kwenta. Joke lang. Puro tawa lang. Okay,
Pag
andito rin si
2
Moon.
hours, iba na yung pag-uusapan natin.
Oo nga, baka mag-live selling na kami dito. Kanina may mga binibenta na sa backstage. Nandito si Joel from Bookstagram. Ang cute.
Moon.
Sino kami? Thanks. Hindi ko alam kung sino ang cute. Hello daw sa inyong lahat. Ayun, so thank you again for being here, everyone. So right now we're going to move on to like your thoughts about this setting. As I've said earlier, this is historical fiction, and it was set during the time that there is an actual event that happened during 1986. Before we like delve into our thoughts, this is the first, as far as we know, namin ni Sai, this is the first historical fiction that Erin Entrada Kelly has put out. So, hindi ako masyado nag-expect with so much like historical ambience. However, kasi it's a historical fiction, so medyo kahit na paano nag-expect ka. Pero, kayo, ano yung thoughts niyo with how it was set, yung setting niya, the ambience, the vibe of the book, thinking that it was set in 1986.
Sige, ako muna. Kasi as I am a self-proclaimed ko na lang na I'm not well read when it comes to historical fiction genre. And na-mention ko rin kay Kat during her All the Lights We Cannot See post na gusto ko makabasa talaga ng historical
Yeah.
fiction this year.
Mm-mm.
So wala akong idea, pero I can catch a good world building when it comes to fantasy naman. So in terms of this, as a book that is marketed to be set in 1986, which is a very distinct period of time, I think there were no. I'll be honest. There were no concrete indication that or things that were set na made me feel that it is in the 1980s. Aside from the or Fitch's fascination with the arcade game, which is a very big thing way back then. And then the main piece of history that is the Challenger space exploration. I guess none. There's no other thing. So I cannot judge, but I'll be leaving the thoughts about historical fiction to Kat and Donna. Kayo ba? Nung maging share nyo dyan?
Me as a person who likes well, I don't read a lot of historical fiction, to be honest, but that's because I read actual history books because I'm a history major. I personally didn't feel that it was very set in the 80s. Like, apart from like what Sai said, apart from the the arcade portion, but then if you say arcade, it still exists until now. So that kind of doesn't really do it for me. So aside from the fact that um it was about the Challenger, about the space, like the first exploration to space, there wasn't really a lot of feels of his like it being set in the 80s. It could have easily been like a retelling, like, Kelly could have created a completely new historical plot based on the exploration to space. So,
Mhm.
parang for me, yun yung parang actually kanina ko lang yung na-realize bago mag-live show nung nasa ano, nung nasa StreamYard pa kami. Sabi ko, alam niyo, parang na-realize ko na hindi masyadong na-flesh out yung pagiging 80s niya. Kasi parang being someone who likes to watch old romantic comedies, I'm very
Mhm.
familiar with the 80s setting, like even in school. So parang hindi ko siya masyadong na-feel. Yun yung isa sa mga factors pa na medyo okay, sayang, parang ganun.
Yeah. Which I actually agreed na actually kanina lang din namin na-realize yun ni Donna. So, ako nga, no? Alam mo, parang late reaction kami. So, parang naisip ko din na, oo nga, no, I first thought of this one because it says that it was set in 1980s. It's a middle grade book. So the first thing that comes to my mind is that, oh, it's like Stranger Things. Like because Stranger Things is set in 1980s. It's also like the target audience of that one is also like middle grades, and it's also heavy in science. So parang in here, I was kind of expecting something that is very atmospheric that will make you feel na it was set during the 80s. And I agree with Donna na even though there are like arcade references or games that were referenced here na set in the 80s, kasi parang kahit early 2000s, you can still use that term eh. Or like the games, like the Pac-Man, kahit di ako pinanak ng 80s, I still know, nalaro ko pa sa arcade yung Pac-Man. So parang for me, it was not really a heavy, I don't know, hindi ako masyadong nadala na it was set in the historical fiction or it was a
Yeah.
historical fiction book, I mean. So parang that was something that's lacking for me also in the book. And as I've said earlier, sa pagkakaalam ko, ito yung first time na maglabas si Erin Entrada Kelly ng historical fiction. So, I kind of siguro inisip ko na lang din kanina na perhaps because she's used to write books in contemporary or in modern setting, maybe that's the reason why it wasn't really that fleshed out yet. So that's what I'm thinking earlier. And it's just that for me, sayang sana kasi ang ganda nung background with the Challenger. So parang nanghinayang lang ako. Pero in totality, I think yung atmosphere lang talaga yung medyo kulang. But there are references, like if you're looking for like references, meron naman talaga mga references.
Yeah.
It's just that
'Di ba,
kulang lang.
Yes.
we're talking about the big TV na pinupush sa auditorium,
Yeah, yeah.
those small
Tsaka
things.
ano, in terms of basketball, 'di ba mahilig si Cash sa basketball. Yung mga players
Mm,
na name-mention niya really are legit 80s
Oh, yeah.
players.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
basketball
Yeah, like
player.
sino nga yung lagi niya mini-mention yung may
Si
poster
Dr.
siya?
J
Yeah,
from the
okay.
Philadelphia 76ers, si Julius
So,
Irving.
like for example, yun, hindi ko yun talaga alam at all. So, nalaman ko lang na, oh, okay, 80s pala tong player na to. So, meron naman maliliit na mga references, pero siguro kulang lang siya for me, in my opinion. Siguro it could have been, nadagdagan lang sana. Pero it's a good thing pa rin. So we're done with the characters and the setting. How about the plot of the story? What's your opinion about it or your
Ooh.
thoughts? Like, I think medyo juicy din tong opinion natin sa plot ng story.
Hello, mic check.
Biglang naglag. Like the plot itself. It's by the way, guys, kung hindi nyo alam, it's a 300 something page book. Ilang pages nga
True.
ba to? It's a 300.
390.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Thick.
391. It's thick for a middle grade.
Yeah.
Nagulat ako na ganito siya kakapal. Pero, I don't know. What's your opinion about the plot of the story?
So,
Like, how it all
I'll
went?
go.
Go, go.
So, um, when we when I finished reading this book, I immediately chatted the two of them. So I I I, I immediately expressed my opinion. Um, Basically for me, so okay, the story follows the three characters, right? So there's three different like small plot points, and then there's an overachieving plot about the family, right?
Mhm.
So um yun nga, like what I said earlier when we were talking about the characters, si Bird talaga yung my biggest character arc. Like her plot was the most developed. Kasi kasi si Bird kasi mahilig siya sa mechanical stuff. Like she likes drawing schematics and she's interested like how things work. So parang she was very interested about space as well. As in like she even wanted to be part of NASA kasi she wanted to go to space talaga.
Yeah.
So the Challenger going to space was really a big deal for her. Kaya parang the whole story kind of revolves around her character development. Pero my problem, parang one of the biggest problems I had was Fitch and Cash had equally kind of big parts, like big enough parts for chapters to be dedicated to them, right? Like to their POV and to develop their character.
Na?
Pero the plot for their arc fell flat for me kasi parang si Fitch, like what Kat said, um meron siyang anger issues. Like
Yes.
um he suddenly gets angry and he doesn't know why and he doesn't know how to control it. So parang for me, um when the okay, kind of spoiler-ish, but when the book was ending, I was expecting like that problem to be addressed, but there was nothing. So parang, parang, but like it's a middle grade book, and for me, if a middle grade book suddenly drops out like a big plot point like that, it's kind of like you just kind of like you feel lost na parang anong mangyayari sa kanya? Parang ganun yun yung pinaka big question sa utak ko na parang so if a kid who also had like anger issues read this book, tas parang the his problem was just completely written out of the story. Parang, hey, anong mangyayari sa akin? Ganito na lang ako forever. Parang ganun for me. Tapos even Cash, kasi nga parang he likes basketball and he wants to be an athlete, ganyan. So, his story is about his struggle with school. Parang, how can I balance school and being with my friends and doing sports, ganyan. Tapos, same, parang he realized that he's a good runner versus, being a good shooter. So parang, okay, I'll join the running team. Tapos parang, okay, mapipressure na lang ako to do well in school. Pero parang, there's not really a proper, like, there was no proper addressing the problem of not wanting to go to school, which is also a big problem these days. So parang, yun nga, as a middle grade book, parang how can we just leave that unresolved? Parang yun yung biggest issue ko sa plot. And then yung big plot, which is the family. So yun nga, parang we didn't get a backstory about the family when they were better. Pero as well as wala ring binigay na parang bright future for the family. Parang there were so many things left unresolved for a middle grade. Yun yung pinaka, bakit ganito? Parang ganun yung pinaka na-feel ko for the plot of the book. And when it ended, sobrang parang natulala lang ako saglit. Tapos chinat ko si Kat tsaka si Sai. And I was like, guys, what happened?
Which is actually true. Nung natapos yung book. Ay, ikaw ba pinakaunang natapos? Nakalimutan ko na eh. Basta parang halos sabay-sabay yata.
Yeah, halos.
And it was really not a good time. Sabi dito ni Gerald, bago ako magsalita, Sai, yung mga ngiti ni Sai, pilit ko
Oh my
mag-irili
God!
sa baho.
Na-pressure?
At saka sabi ni Ram, grabe daw yung ni Sai.
Ooh!
Okay, go Sai. Thank you, Donna. Ano yung thoughts mo sa plot or how the story went?
Okay, so spoiler alert joke. If you've been a mutual of mine on Bookstore or Twitter, you've known that I'm a big fan of Erin Entrada Kelly since I read her first work, I think back in 2018. And I also and her most recent release before this We Dream of Space is Lalani of the Distance, which is my most favorite book in 2019 and in my life. Hello, Kat. So, when I read this book, as in, nung matapos ko isara yung last page and after reading Bird's essay, super, super nalungkot talaga ako. Kasi, ayun, medyo emotional joke. Hindi ko ma-express kasi parang ang sad na siguro may expectation din was too high. Pero, yun nga, kagaya nung mga sinabi ko sa inyo nung nag-chat ako, ang daming unanswered questions, especially since this is a book that is particularly targeted for middle grade readers or children. Yung mga bata talaga yung magbabasa nito. So if ako na adult na I can comprehend or meron akong experience during childhood, tapos mababasa ko to, nasad na ako. So what more for the kids who will read this and who can resonate to the story of either of the three siblings? Kasi yun nga, we have a messy family background, especially when it comes to their parents kasi they are verbally super vulgar nila magsalita and most of the time they weren't agreeing with each other, which is I think naka-affect talaga nga with the characters of Fitch, Cash, and Bird. And then we have Cash struggles in school, which is also unanswered. Kasi, di ba, if you're a parent, you should reach out to your kids. Especially the most important thing that bugs them is on that specific time. And Cash being a repeater, which is I think a big deal since his siblings are just 1 year apart. They're just 1 year apart, so they'll be in the same grade on the seventh grade. So I think ang at fault talaga dito is how the parents were developed. Kasi yung kay Kasha development sa dulo, ang na na-address lang doon is about his dream to be an athlete. Kasi 'di ba, he wants to be a basketball player but he's not good at basketball. He just wants it, but he's good at running. Pero at the end, it was shown that he is, I think, willing to try out for the track team. So that's not the main issue with Cash eh. The main issue is yun nga sa academics niya and how he can bounce back para nga makapasok sa any of the varsity team. And then yun kay Bird, I think sa lahat ng characters including the parents, Bird is the most matured. She's super ahead of her age and super proactive niya mag-isip when it comes to family matters. Imagine reading the chapters wherein nag-aaway yung parents niya and then she will yung makikinig ka tapos pag alam niya na lalabas na hindi na siya pumapasok na sa room niya or pag may problema yung mga kapatid niya siya mismo yung nagre-reach out to them which should be the main responsibility of the parent.
Yeah.
And then kay Fitch kasi super na hindi naman naawa pero medyo na-attach na ako sa kanya kasi yung character niya is developed na parang there's no assurance on ano ba yung magiging future niya kasi meron siyang anger management issue na hindi rin talaga na-address which I think should be the parents' responsibility as well.
Yeah.
So overall, sisihin natin yung parents kasi hindi talaga sila develop. At ang lungkot-lungkot ko kasi
napansin ko sorry, pag middle grade tapos pag it's not a story about close family ties, the parents are often neglectful. Actually, not even in just middle grade, even in YA.
Yeah.
Pag contemporary, some of the parents are kind of neglectful to their children. And I don't know if that's just an American thing. Sorry Pero,
di ba?
no, kasi
Asians can't relate.
Filipinos, di ba guys? Naman natin
Yeah.
ang magulang natin mahilig makisaw-saw sa mga bagay sa buhay natin. Pero like, for Americans, parang the parents, they think about themselves first. Parang it's more of paano naman ako, 'di ba? Tas parang it just feels so weird. Like ako na weirdohan talaga ako pag ganun yung
Yeah.
magulang Na, okay, isipin kita, pinapakain kita, anak kita, pinapalaki kita, pero paano ako? Parang, bakit
Yeah.
to? Parang gano'n.
True.
Actually, what you're saying kind of makes sense. But sige, matutupasin ko muna si Sai. Pero, yeah, later na. Sige, go Sai.
Go,
Meron ka pa
Sai,
idudod
tuloy mo
ko.
na.
Wala naman, ang naging ano lang, ang naging main, naging main takeaway ko talaga is, 'pag may favorite author ka, brace yourself na ma-disappoint kasi meron talaga silang disappointing books.
Oh,
Kasi
yeah.
Oh
na-experience
my
ko na 'to
God.
kay Marilu, kay Matthew K, and then this sorry Erin, if you're watching, mahal ko pa rin naman yung mga books mo and I'll continue supporting you. Pero gano'n talaga, may mga bagay na
Yeah,
Umiiyak.
magpapa-disappoint sa'yo sa buhay.
which I agree. Oh my God. Parang, wait lang, parang nadoblehan kami ni Sai ngayon nung, kay Marilu, tapos kay Erin. Oh my God, Sai.
'Di ba?
Oh, nakakaiyak. Oh my gosh. Anyway, okay, wait lang pansinin muna natin yung mga comments nila. Actually, sinabi 'to ni Deej na medyo naisip din namin 'to. Baka daw merong sequel yung story kasi maraming loose ends. And I don't know, we don't know yet, but I don't think there will be. Thinking about how Erin writes her books, I think it's just ended that way. Feeling ko lang naman, but malay naman natin.
Wala pa
So,
siyang announcement ng series, eh.
yeah. And yung new book niya ngayon is like an illustration children's book, I think.
Oo.
So, hindi ko alam kung may kurugtong pero feeling ko kasi wala. Pero naisip na namin baka may baka series to. Nagkaroon ng hope. Sabi ni Gerald kanina, nanginginig daw yung boses ni Sai. May tissue ka ba dyan, Sai?
May tawid ako.
At sabi naman ni Richard, si Richard Taitig, si Kat at Sai sobrang advocates for Lalani. Gusto kong giveaway ng savings ko. Wow, sorry tuloy Richard, ano lang yan sa'yo, maliit na bagay.
Maliit na bagay. Ito naman si
Mga,
Richard, eh.
magkano ba yung Lalani? Mga $600. Kayang-kaya mo yan, Richard. Sabi ni Ram, yeah, Filipino can't relate. Actually, this one, I would just like to comment. It actually makes sense because when I was reading My Fate According to the Butterfly, you will really see how family oriented that book is, like how the parents cared so much about their children even though they are from like a broken family. I think that's very evident. So parang naisip ko yung sabi ni Donna, oo nga no. And then I've read The Ghost Squad last month, or I mean in November, and it was based on a Latinx family culture. And same with that, yung sanay sila na strict yung parents nila that they cannot go anywhere without na hindi sila nagsasabi sa parents nila. Even yung lola doon ng isang bata sa Ghost Squad, sobrang strict and sobrang thoughtful and sobrang caring even though disciplinarian yung lola. So parang naisip ko na this is my first, not really the first time, but I think because Erin, even though she's a Filipino, I think she grew up or she was raised in the US. So it could somehow affect like the how siguro perspective niya when it comes to family dynamics. Parang siguro nagmimix na lang yung Philippine and American culture. Siguro lang, hindi ako sure doon. Pero when I was watching some interviews about this book, meron siyang mga interview na available sa YouTube. So pinanood ko, ang naalala ko lang na sinabi niya doon is that parang how she created the family dynamics of Nelson Thomas's are, it was like a realistic setting in the US families. Like it was something that's really happening. It was something na gusto niya na merong mag-resonate. Parang may gusto niya na may isang bata or may isang middle grade that would see him or herself in this book. So it means that this is something really that you can relate to. We're not saying that this is not happening in the Philippines because, like for example, I grew up in a broken family. So alam ko yung pakiramdam ni Bird na parang hindi niya alam nag-aaw yung parents mo, hindi mo alam gagawin mo. So parang na-experience ko yun. Pero hindi ko pa na-experience yung neglect ng parents or I don't know. I feel like even though your parents will get separated or your parents are like they are not in good terms, I think when it comes to their children here in the Philippines, um sobrang, parang sabi nga, you can be a bad wife, but you cannot be a bad mother,
Yeah.
basically. So, pero syempre, there are like
Mhm.
rare cases. Okay, so hindi naman, subjective pa din naman. Pero siguro, in majority sa Asian culture, I think lang to ha, with like how I see it, in majority sa Asian culture, we're very family-oriented. In kung i-compare sa mga Western culture. So, siguro yun yung reason bakit nawiwerdohan tayo sa
Yeah.
nangyari sa family nila ng Nelson Thomases. And it's something na siguro we can also talk about in other books. Hopefully, sa mga susunod pa na books ng In Cosmic Dreams, mas diverse para makita natin yung iba't ibang family orientation. Ano to mga comment na lang? Wait lang, ang dami nilang comment.
Kaya nga eh. Ang active.
Sabi ko, acting sa recitation ng mga ano natin, audience. Sabi ni Gerald, imagine Erin being here, tapos bigla siya nag-disconnect after mapakinggan.
Sino
Uy,
yan?
Uy, actually, I just want to say that Sai and I invited Erin talaga to be part of the live. Like, I just wanted this to be perhaps an interview kasi this is a 2020 release. Tama ba ka? 2020 niya
Yeah,
release?
December.
Yeah. So, it's a 2020 release and I thought of just inviting her because of course gusto namin siyang makausap like in person kasi she's very friendly talaga on social media. So she agreed to this live show. Kaya lang nagkaroon ng conflict sa schedule niya. So sabi ko, oh sige, sige, hindi na lang interview. This is more like a book discussion. And then let's invite Donna kasi we were body reading this book with Donna before ko pa i-invite si Donna. Nagbo-body read na kami. So para sabi ni Sarah, sige, okay, sige, para tayong tatlo na lang. So kung nanonood sa Erin ngayon, we still love you.
Erin, we love you.
We love you with all our hearts.
Ma,
This
sorry
is
ma.
just, okay, insert yung meme ni Tony Gonzaga dito. So, yeah, sabi niya, ako nga si Richard to. Kasi nagbago yung name. Wala daw siya. Okay, wait lang ha. Ay nako, sabi ni Gerald, nasa lucha ba ang apelido nila?
Ang bago, Gerald ah.
Grabe, Gerald ha. In fairness ha, ang funny mo. Sabi ni Richard, guys, pabudol tayo ni Donna para bumili ng
Yes, let's go. Let's get
yes.
leads.
Follow na yung shop ni Donna at the literary culture, o, di ba? Wait lang.
Salamat sa plug.
Sabi ni John, nakikinig ako, nakakatouch na thoughts silang tatlo, huwag kayong magpatawa. Reset? Ay, nako. So, ayun. So, basically, the plot, siguro I could say na it's not really a plot-driven story, more like a character-driven book, but it's just that we expected, kasi nga it's character-driven, so medyo nag-expect lang kami na something will get better in the end. So, medyo pare-pares kami na doon sa point, kasi parang naisip ko din na if a 12-year-old will read this book, there's no really that strong motivation or like to hope for something better if you're like going through with it. So siguro at the end of like itong thoughts namin na to, if like you wanna recommend this to a middle grade or someone na mas bata kasi usually yun naman yung gusto natin na like for middle grades my main goal in Cosmic Dreams is for us to find a good book for middle grades kasi hindi natin yun na-experience ng mga bata tayo, so parang
Yes.
yun talaga yung gusto kong mangyari. And kung meron kayong mag-recommend kayo nito, siguro sabihin nyo na lang that it's not really a very hopeful book. Yun lang yung gusto kong sabihin doon. Hindi siya masyadong magbibigay ng hope, but it's realistic. That's what I want to say. It's very realistic and something na children can really resonate with. Like, being someone who doesn't like academics, ayan, nandyan yan. So, yun yung mga bagay na yun. Siguro, last na lang natin na question for a finale. Kasi it's almost 1 hour. Ayan. Ang haba ng usapan natin na to. In fairness talaga, no? Siguro, what's your final thoughts about the book and what did you rate it if gusto nyong i-share? Again, walang personalan. Ano lang po, opinion at pawang ano lang po ito. Subjective thoughts. Nag-disclaim. Yun na lang. And final thoughts. And then if you have something like something middle grade book to recommend before we end this show para naman even though kasi we have some negative, hindi man negative, but siguro yung mga things that could be improved in this book. But are there some middle grade books na baka gusto nyo ring i-recommend sa mga manonood po natin dahil napaka-active nila, ano? Baka nag-aantay sila ng recommendations. Ayun, so final thoughts, your rating, and then some book recommendations na middle grade na nabasa nyo na. Sinong gusto mag-start? Sino yung dalawa? Nagtinginan.
Sige, ako na lang.
Sai, sige, go na, Sai.
The only thorn among the roses. Yun. Sige. So, final thoughts. Hindi ko to na-mention kanina, pero if you're looking for a read na at the end of the book, you'll just think na you want to hug the characters, then this book is the recommended read for you. Kung gusto mo ng magbasa ng book na after mo basahin, gusto mo lang sila i-hug or makipag heart-to-heart talk, then this book is right for you. And if you're exploring on books that has a very different family issues tackled, etong book na to talaga sobrang set aside siya when it comes to family issues. And then, in terms of middle grade books, A Wish in the Dark, I think it was released last year, 2019 ata. And then, Lalani of the Distance pa rin.
Of course.
And also, yun, may upcoming book si Gail this April. So, promote ko na rin. Sugar and Spite this April. So, I've yet to read it, but support Filipino authors, and I think this one also has Filipino characters. I just love seeing brown characters in the cover, and they're so cute. And the references are on point. We have Julina and Claudine. So, super fun. Yeah. Basahin natin to sabay-sabay this year.
Yeah.
That's all from me, Kat. Thank you po.
Bye.
Umalis sa live.
Hoy, Sai, wait lang. Basahin mo yung comment nito. I'm so sorry for laughing while you're talking. Saan si Sai?
Saan ka ba? Basahin mo yung comment ni Trish.
Sai, nandiyan ka ba? Nawala si Sai after ni Trish mag-comment.
Kaya nga, sabi ko kasi ako na yung mauna kasi the only thorn among the...
Trish, okay ka lang ba? Hindi ko
natawa din ako sa comment ni Trish kasi diba nag-appear dito. So, sabi ko, parang ano siya parang...
I know. Anyway, sinasabi kanina ni Sai, I'm so sorry for laughing. So sabi ni Sai, eto, pinromote na ni Gerald, Sugar and Spite.
So, ako parang template ng young adult book na Smutty. Joke!
Oy, we did great. Anyway, ito yung sinasabi ni Sai kanina, Sugar and Spite by Gail Villanueva. So I think it will be out on April, no? Sa April na siya. So yeah, hopefully tayo dyan. Mabasa natin yan. Natawa ko doon. Ang final rating mo, Sai. What's your final rating with the book?
Ano?
Sai, lag ka? Ako ba yung lag o si Sai?
Parang si Sai.
Sai, okay ka lang ba? PLDT, baka naman. Kapon ka pa, gigigil.
Sai, galawin mo ang basa, Sai.
Sai, final rating mo, Sai.
April.
Lag, sobrang lag ni Sai.
Okay, feeling ko talaga lag si Sai.
Okay, Trish.
Natutuwa ako.
Grabe, sobrang lag ni Sai.
3.5 kasi mataas talaga ako mag-grade. And I round off pag sa Goodreads. So, 4-star ko siya sa Goodreads kasi bias ko pa rin si Erin.
Bias? Parang K-pop
lag ako?
na. Yeah, lag ka.
Tumawa kasi ate ko
Natatawa ako sa comment section.
I can't.
Sabi ko na nga, pag tayong tatlo na dito, natawa lang tayo.
Whew. Whew. Whew.
Wait natin mag-catch up si
Okay.
Sai. Oh my God.
Sai, okay ka na ba?
Okay. Sige, Donna, ikaw na kaya na yun ni Sai. Pagod
Okay,
na.
game. So,
Go, go.
sa akin, it was okay for me. The book, the story, it was okay. Um, ang sa akin lang, what was left to be desired was really a proper resolution. Kasi nga, parang it's a middle grade book and it's nice that it's realistic. Pero parang I would have wanted, like what I said in the group chat when you were talking about it. Um, I would have wanted a clear resolution for how to make it better, to for how to make each of their situation better and the family situation better, 'di ba? Parang though the end of the book was kind of okay kasi parang the siblings had parang that rekindling session that they did, which was cute, pero parang na left out pa rin yung parents, so parang medyo okay. Tapos my rating was 3 because like I said, it was okay, but there was just so much left to be desired for me. And then recommendations, if you want something that's also realistic and also has mental issues and also family, kind of like this na parang medyo may family issues, Starfish by Akemi Don Bowman. And then I would also say read Any Day with You by May Respicio. She's a Filipino author, and that was her release last year, and it's about a Filipino girl dealing with her grandfather going back to America, to the Philippines. So parang this one naman is very Filipino centric kind of book na you'll see talaga how the parents and the family dynamics are great. Like that's the best one of the best middle grades that I read.
Alright, thank you. Nako, yung mga tao sa comment section, bahala kayo dyan, hindi na kami magbabasa. Hindi na kami
Okay na ba
matata.
ako?
Yeah, you're good, you're good.
Oo,
Welcome
Yeah.
sa
back,
akin
Sai.
naman, si Cash, yun, nag-discuss sa characters, super lag. Siyempre, papahuli ba ang Globe? Di ba sabi ko sa inyo, crappy si PLDT, pero si Globe hindi rin nagpahuli eh. Thank you po.
Salamat po, Globe. Anyway, Donna, what's your final rating pala?
3.
Okay, that's good. I think the ratings are still good. Anyway, so ako, as I've said na before, I'm not rating books right now, but if I am, I would probably have given it 3 stars as well. I think it has a lot of elements na very likable din naman, and I think it also did its job for me na yung themes niya, if you have read like other Erin Entrada Kelly's books, it's not really unusual na yung themes talaga ni Erin are puro mga medyo sad sa isang middle grade, but for me, kahit pa paano, the books have like elements that I really liked, and I just really love Bird's character so much. And yun lang, we just had some issues with it, but I think that it would still be a good book. However, if you are recommending it again to the middle grades, medyo may trigger warning, content warning lang tayo ng konti. But if you're an adult reading this book, I think it would be like a good experience. And as Sai and Don have mentioned na this is a very realistic family dynamic. So if you want to read something na alam nyo na, you can relate to, hindi man siya ganun ka-satisfying in the end. It's just still something na yung emotions, the dynamics between the siblings and the parents are very realistic. And yun, still a good try. I still recommend it to anyone who'd like to try it. It's not very, baka isipin nyo na sobrang, oh, huwag na natin itry yan. It's still a good try for me. For recommendations naman, with Erin Entrada Kelly's books, I would highly recommend still Lalani and Hello Universe. I think kung ngayon, like, kasi si Donna, ngayon first daw niya to na Erin Entrada Kelly. So sabi ko, you have to try Lalani and Hello Universe because those two are like
Yes.
God tier for me.
Alam niyo ba,
I
I
love
have 4 Erin Entrada Kelly books and this is the first one that I read.
kasi pinilit namin siya ni Sai. Sabi namin, ay, dahil sign na natin to. I need to read it. Ayun. And then I'm taking note of everything that they've said kasi gusto ko rin basahin yung Starfish tsaka Lalani at tsaka ano nga ba isa mo sabi doon na yung Any Day With You by Mayor's
Every day.
Yes.
Show.
Yeah, any day.
Pag
with me.
pag magpapabudol ka ng Any Day With You, damay mo ko ha.
Yeah, huwag pa budol lang
On-
kayo namin.
Online budol.
Uy, wala pa yung physical copy noon.
Wala pa?
Ako, wala akong physical copy noon.
Oh, sabay-sabay tayo. Yay!
Wait, pero meron na siyang copy like sa international din. Hinahanap ko ng bro.
Yeah,
Like,
actually it's out na. Wala lang, wala pa lang ako ng physical copy. Gusto ko rin basahin yung first book ni Mayor Piscio, The House That Lou Built. Is that it, Sai?
Yeah, The House That Lou Built. Nabasa ko
Okay.
sa NetGalley eh. It's good.
Really? Actually, matagal ko nakita yung si Mayor Piscio as middle grade Filipino author, pero I haven't tried it yet. So, siguro yung Any Day With You, kasi gusto ko makabasa nung like about
Tas may grandparents doon.
Yeah, it's Diaspora. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to read something like that too. Yeah. So actually, that's it, everybody. So before we go for tonight, I'm just gonna announce the books for this month actually, and then the live show would be on February, and then the book for February as well. So, ayan, mamaya ako na mabasahin yung mga comments. Bala nga kayo dyan. Active talaga sa recitation to mga to. Anyway, for this one, guys, I also chose to pick a Filipino authored book. The book
Yes.
discussion would be on February, and I'm very excited to announce as well the host, my co-host for that live show, because they are also Filipino content creators. So yeah, i-announce ko na lang by the end. But the book is Everlasting Nora by Marie Miranda Cruz. This is another Filipino author, and sabi nila it's very heartwarming. Sabi ni Melissa de la Cruz, but a lot also
Yes.
recommended this to me, including Sai actually. So this is the book for January. It's Everlasting Nora. I think kung hindi siya available locally, merong mga books, merong available siya sa Amazon, I think. And yeah, I'm so excited to read this book kasi ang dami nag-recommend ito sa akin. And then for February naman, dumating na kasi yung copy ko, maipapakita ko na sa inyo. For February, the live show will be on March. Ay, naku talaga. Okay, for February, the book is
Sabi yung chatbox.
oo nga, pwedeng i-hide mga comments. So, for February, the book for In Cosmic Dreams is King and the Dragonflies by Case and Calendar.
Ooh, oh my God.
This is why I ordered this one from Waterstone, care of the Literary Culture by Serena
Let's get lit.
So, this one,
na rin ako.
sorry?
Dat pala bumili na rin ako.
Donna
Sorry, hindi
ha,
ka nadamay,
or mag-check out ka.
Yung alam niyo na, Waterstones, baka na.
Malakas, Waterstones.
So yeah, so this is, I think it's fantasy, middle grade fantasy. Hindi lang ako sure kung gaano kalalim yung fantasy. I haven't read the synopsis yet, but Case and Calendar is a Black author as far as I know, and siya yung author ng Felix Ever After, which I really enjoyed back in 2020. So I am very, very excited about this book. Hindi lang ako sure kung ito yung debut book niya, pero alam ko na una to kasi sa Felix Ever After. So again, the two books for the next 2 months are this two, Everlasting Nora and King and the Dragonflies by Case and Calendar. So if you can get yourselves your copy and then join us again next time. So again, thank you so much for everyone who have stayed, who have nakiramble kayo dyan sa comment section.
Ang active.
Sobrang active po nila sa recitation. Maraming salamat po. Gerald, thank you, Maui. Alam mo si Maui pag nandito lagi, parang tayong bubudulan namin. Sabi ni Richard,
bidding starts at 800 po. Charot!
Binenta na yung kopya. Gusto niyo po
Signed
ba
first
tatlong copy?
edition. Side edition.
Lahat po kami signed. Anyway, sabi ni Richard dito, available sa Amazon. Chat natin si Donna. Ano yung available sa Amazon? Hindi ko
Everlasting
alam
Nora
kung
ata. Yan yung kaninang
okay.
napag-usapan eh.
Pero available siya sa Book Outlet. I actually got my copy from Book Outlet. So, mas mura doon. Chat niya na si Donna, guys. Kaya niyan. Humanda ang shipping cart mo, sabi ni Richard. Nagbabantak si Richard.
Grabe
82 books.
Grabe. So yun, thank you so much again. This video will be up on my channel. So kung gusto niyo itong i-rewatch at mag-check kayo ng mga recommendations, go ahead. And then lagay ko yung links si Donna at ni Sai sa baba. Thank you again, Donna and Sai, for
Thank you, Kat.
joining me here. Grabe, first time to, pero ang saya. Salamat ulit. And sana maulit, And yeah, thank you again to everyone. I'm gonna just end the live here because it's already too long. See you on the next time and bye-bye! Ay, mag-end ako ng live pero out.
Bye!
Bye! Wait. And broadcast.